Welcome to the Armchair GM podcast. I'm Chris. That's Dylan. I don't know if you know this or not, but Dylan and I have just a couple of expectations for players and the team this year. So without further ado, let's roll. Welcome to the Armchair GM podcast.
Well, it's September. Flames hockey is only about a month away, and the preseason is coming up in only a couple weeks. So, figure we might as well start talking about how we feel about next season and how what our expectations are for, like Chris said, the team and for some of the players on the team. We're not going to go through every single player because that gets exhausting for everyone. But we're going to go through some of them.
4-hour show. Yeah, 4-hour show. We're just going to do every player. Let's roll.
Yeah. And as always, make sure you let us know how you feel about our projections and our expectations for the team and for the players in the comment section below, and tell us what your expectations are for some of these guys as well.
Yep.
Like and subscribe, all that good stuff, all that rambling YouTube stuff. All right, let's get right into it, Chris. I guess let's just start at the top with Nazem Kadri, who obviously had a pretty good season last year, 35 goals, 32 assists, 67 points, a whole shitload of penalty minutes with 72 and a minus 17. Not that we're going to talk a whole bunch about plus minus. And that is, if I look here, that is 7 points less than he had last season, but it still leads the team.
Right. Yep. More, 6 more goals, not as many assists. Almost doubled his penalty minutes, which is interesting because we're harping on that all through the season. The plus minus is quite interesting. Obviously, thank you power play, clearly, because obviously that's where he falls short on 5-on-5, and when he's on the ice, he does create a lot of opportunities for the other team. Expectations for Nazem. I would like to see a potential trade to get him out of here. So, do I just say my expectation is that he's playing for another team? No, I think he's going to be maybe not quite as many in the goal production, potentially 25 to 30 again. And he'll probably be similar in assists with around the 30 to 35. I think he'll probably round up somewhere between 60 and 68 points next year. I feel like he's going to ride that high. He seems to still have a little bit of the gumption still left in him. We'll see. I don't know how much it's going to translate in the 26-27 or 27-28 seasons, but I think he still has a fair bit to offer for this next season coming up.
Yeah, I think he's probably, like, if he sticks with the team the whole year, which honestly I agree, or I think he probably will. I'm not positive. Of course, I think it's best for the future of the team that they find a new home for him and get something for him before his play inevitably drops just with his age curve coming up here. But I agree with the 30-ish goal range. I think probably because you said 25 to 30, I'm going to stick around 30. He got 35 last year. I'm going to go with about 30 goals and probably about 30 to 35 assists. So somewhere between 60 and 65 points. He's going to be really close to what he was last year, but not quite reach those heights. And that's because my expectation is that some of his minutes will be taken by guys like Zary and Frost.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that, and I think for the betterment of the future of the franchise, that's what you want, right? We have a lot of aging vets on the squad right now, but we still want to see some really good production from some of the younger crowd, and this is the kind of not necessarily steal the spot from them, but at least take a reasonable amount of his minutes.
Yeah, and if between the two of those guys or whoever it may be, if they, whoever the player is that's taking some of his minutes, if they take a minute and a half of his time every game, that probably is about 5, 6, 7 points, right?
Yep, yep.
Off of his numbers. Um, let's talk about one of those guys that we were talking about just now. Morgan Frost has the chance to take that second line center spot that the Flames really don't have a second line center um, decided because
Mhm.
Lynn's aging and Frost and Zary are kind of competing for those minutes currently. But so between the Flyers and the Flames, with very tumultuous year. Seems like he didn't get on with Tortorella very well. And after moving over to Calgary, his shooting percentage was awful. Was awful, but he
Mhm.
got 37 points, 14 goals, 23 assists in 81 games between the two teams. Not not terrible, but I'm expecting quite a bit more from him. Come next
Yeah.
season, a little bit more comfort. I'm expecting him to be closer to 20 goals, maybe not quite 20 goals, maybe 18, 19 goals, and maybe more like 25 to 30 assists, like maybe a 45-point season pushing 50.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see something like that. With Morgan, I think coming into completely different system, coaching style, surrounding, I can see why you would struggle. He was exciting to watch, and I really like his creativity. I think he's going to end up being a really good setup guy. So I think I expect his assists to go up a fair bit, to be honest, based on some of the stuff I saw there. But yeah, you're right. When you're sitting at like what was it, 5.25, I think it was for shooting percentage when he came over and started playing for the Flames, he needs to get up and around 15 in order to be fully functional, I think. And I suspect he's going to be that. I think having a full training camp with the team, and I think he's going to hit the ground running. And I do expect him to be up and around and even closer to the 50 mark as far as points go this year.
Um,
And get I think he has the potential to have a career year for points. I don't think it's going to blow anybody's socks off, but I do expect him to increase on what he did for the Flames last year.
I agree with the increase. I'm not so sure about 15% shooting because he's had, like last year in Calgary, he had 5.2%. Uh,
Mhm.
he's had a 12.8% in Philly last year, and he
Yep.
had a 12.3 in Philly 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and that was his. Those are his two highest marks. I'm not
Mhm.
expecting him to be a 15% shot. That those are actually pretty good numbers for like sniper numbers. So
Mhm.
I'm saying 10 to 12 would be
Yeah,
good.
north
Like
of 10.
and I'm like, to me, a 10% shooting for him should get him to about 20 goals, close
Mhm.
to 20 goals.
Yeah. Yep, I can see that, right? Because yeah, I mean, if you look at his career, right, when he 22, 23 with Philly, 12.3, got 19 goals. So I think with a different system, potentially more exciting system, I think if he can even be around the 12 mark, yeah, I think 20 is not unreasonable for him.
Yeah. So let's talk about the other guy who might be able to take some of Kadri's numbers and ice time, Connor Zary, who I don't know if you heard because I know you've had a pretty busy week, but David
Mhm.
Pagnotta was reporting just about 2 days ago that it sounds like the Zary camp has agreed to 3 years, but they're just kind of working out a number and they're getting
Mhm.
much closer, which is good because within the last few weeks we've heard a lot about them not being close at all.
Mhm.
So it's good to hear that they're possibly getting quite close to a deal here. Um, so last year in 54 games, he had two really bad injuries, and it seemed like just as he was starting to heat up, both times he was injured, kind of just threw a wrench in his in like hot
Mhm.
streaks. I can't remember exactly if it was hot streaks, but I know that he was starting to be pretty exciting. Um, right before he was injured both times.
Yeah.
So in 54 games, he had 13 goals and 14 assists for 27 points. And
Yep.
2 years ago, he had 63 games played and 34 points. So I don't know. To me, I think my expectation for him is, and I hope, um, whether or not he lights up the score sheet or not, I just want him to be healthy for the year. I want him to show that he's capable of staying healthy, and of
Mhm.
course I want him to put up a bunch of numbers, but you know 40-45 points. I think he can get to 50, but I'm gonna limit my expectations just a little bit and say
Yep.
40 to 45 points in a full season.
Yeah, and as long as we're seeing progression, and you're right, if he can make it full entire 82 game season or 84, I guess, moving forward, um, that's great. That's really all we can ask for him at this point because he hasn't played a full season in the last few years, and so if we can get him to play a full season, continue on with his progression as far as points, because even though he had less points last year, but he also played less games, and so I think given given the percentage, I think he had slightly more production last year in the games played than he did the year before. He also was rewarded with almost an additional minute of ice time. So I think moving forward, yes, you're right. I think 40 would be a good number to hit for him for this next season because he's had the 27, he's had the 34. Now let's get him in the 40s. Kind of that same progression that we're talking about with Anderson for his first few seasons with the Flames, right? Just got better and better and better every year. That's really all you can hope for when it comes to these guys. The only caveat I will throw in, I think if he's going to be taking um, any time away from Kadri as far as uh, the playing the center depth, I think he's going to have to greatly improve on his faceoff percentage. So I'm hoping that he's spending some time this offseason working on that, and I really do. One thing I wanted to throw in for that contract negotiation that they're going through right now, I honestly think it would greatly benefit him and his camp if they went the bridge deal, because I don't think
Me
that
too.
his value right now is worth what it potentially could be if he can prove himself and for you know 2 to 3 of a 3 year deal, right? I
Even
think
just
it'll
proving health,
benefit
whether or
him together.
not he
Mhm.
explodes offensively or not, like
That's
just
right.
proving health. And that's kind of why I was surprised that David Pagnotta said that they're closing in on a 3 year deal, because I was kind of expecting a one or a two, because I
Yeah.
figured that he'd want to prove that he can be healthy and then get a little bit bigger of a contract like sooner.
Yeah, I feel like if he can play a full season and be healthy, I mean, I think to me that just adds 2 million to the contract annually, right?
Something like that, yeah, one and a
Yeah.
half, two, something like that for sure. I'm interested to
Yeah.
see what the number is going to be, but This isn't
Mm-hmm.
really a contract episode, so maybe we'll talk about that. Hopefully, next time we speak on here, we'll
Right.
actually have a contract.
That'd be nice.
Let's talk about a defenseman. Let's talk about Weegs, Mackenzie Weegar. Last year he had 47 points. The year before he had 52. Um, of course, he had the 20 goals in 23-24, and he had, or sorry, I said 20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 20 goals in 23-24, and he had 8 goals last year. Always a plus player. He was a plus 18 last year, which is
Yeah.
crazy considering how mid the team is.
Yeah.
But he's getting older, and the one thing I'm going to say is, and I'll tie it in when we talk about Perek later. Actually, maybe we'll just talk about Perek right after this. But I don't think that Uyghur's going to hold on to power play 1. He'll definitely be power play 2, but I don't think he's going to hold on to power play 1 for longer than 5 or 6 weeks, because I think Perek is,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not Perek's going to get a whole bunch of 5-on-5 time, I don't think so, but he's so creative, and I know that he's only played OHL, but I feel like that creativity is something the Flames are desperately missing on their incredibly mid power play. And just having a guy back there who is a little bit creative will be huge. And I feel like because of that, Mackenzie Weegar's offensive numbers are going to drop. He's still going to play an absolute ton. He's going to be a fan favorite until
Mm-hmm.
he leaves or retires or gets traded or whatever happens. But I think, like I said, probably a bit of a drop. I'm going to put him down by 7 points and put him down to 40 points for next year.
Wow.
Probably 8
What are you?
goals again.
What are you, Eric Francis? You're just trying to run him out of town? Like, holy shit! Poor guy.
No,
Poor
no,
Weeks.
no, no, no. That was not at all what I was saying. Like I said, he's a fan favorite. I love Uyghur.
Yeah.
I just don't
Yeah.
think that he's and I think he would even say himself, like, I want to see Perek on the power play.
Yeah. No, I think ultimately that'll just make the Flames better if we have somebody quarterback in the power play that is that has that bit of dynamic ability. Not saying that Uyghur isn't dynamic, but I mean, let's face it, he's not dynamic. He's a very good defenseman, and I'm a huge fan, and I honestly think he will be the next captain of the Flames once Backlund decides to hang it up. I think if we can get Uyghur back in and around the 22 to 23 minute um, time slot per game, I think that'll help him greatly, especially as he's another year older. He'll be going into the season at 31. I still think he has a number of seasons still left to offer us, but I think you're right. I think 40 is probably a much more of a realistic number for him. I think he'll continue to get the assists, but I don't necessarily think we're going to see the goal production from him that we did see in the 23-24 season. Like obviously that was at least 12 goals more than he's ever scored in his career. So it's unrealistic to think that that's where he's at. You know, so
Yeah,
I think you're right there. I think take 10 goals out of there, at the very least, because even if he gets 10 next year, that's still higher than any other year he's had, minus that
yeah,
20 goal season.
yeah. And yeah, like I've got him at 8. I could see 10, but I think that
Mm-hmm.
a 12 to 20 is kind of out of the range of possibility. Like maybe not possibility, but
Yeah.
out of the range of probability.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk Perek. There's no stats to read off other than he's scored 100 points basically twice in his OHL career, which is
Yeah.
absolutely nuts. But so 19-year-old guy, obviously, like I was saying, super dynamic when it comes to the offensive side of the puck. Probably has a little bit to learn defensively, but I think everybody's super excited to see Zane Perek play. I sure am.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. We haven't had like even Geo wasn't really dynamic back there. Like he had that like flutter wrister from like mid range, but he wasn't like a dynamic
Mhm.
in his movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Perek's got those edges. He's got the skating creativity, and he's got the passing creativity, and he can shoot the puck. So I'm not
Yeah.
gonna come out here and say he's going to be a 60-point defenseman because I think that that doesn't happen very often for rookies.
Yeah.
But I think that I could see him scoring 35 to 35 or 30 to 35 points. I could see him scoring 10 to 12 goals probably as well. I think him and Uyghur's stat lines are going to look, except for maybe the plus minus, are going to look very, very similar.
Yeah,
And
I
the
can
time
see
on
that.
ice.
I think he's going to. I think he'll outscore Weeks personally. He does have this ability to see the ice way differently than most of us do, including the players. I think. I mean, obviously, we only have the one actual NHL game, and it was a kind of a weird NHL game to begin with because we had a bunch of new players on the ice, and at that point we already knew the season was over, and
And he
so
scored on it.
obviously it's. I mean, and it was a fantastic play too, right? I mean, it was
Yeah.
just yeah, him being where he was at that time was just
Something you'd expect
was
from like Matthew Kachuk.
right, right.
Yeah.
And it's good to see great hands from a kid like that. It was really fun to watch. Being a +3 in his first game with one goal, 1 point. So 20 minutes on ice. Obviously he was being given that ice time just in that situation during a game like that. Do
Anderson
I
wasn't
expect him to
playing.
be? That's right. Do I expect him to be 20 minutes? No. Probably for the most part this year it'd be closer to around the 18-minute mark, but it all depends on who they pair him up with, right? If they pair him up with Weeks, then his ice time will go up, and I can see them doing that just for the fact that they seem to get along really well, and I think that could potentially translate on the ice very well,
Good.
depending on I suppose what Huska sees, but you know, but then what do you do with handling, right? But
Who
so
cares?
it's hard to
I
say,
mean,
right?
I
Yeah,
like Hanley, but who
100%.
cares?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
aside from riding the bike and eating popcorn, that's really all I want done with him. It's at this point.
so to me, like my expectation is for Perek to make the team, play if he's healthy, play 65 games. I'm guessing he's going to get a few healthy scratches and probably be banged up. Most players don't play 82 games, right? So probably be banged up for a game or two here and there, and probably get 4, 5, 6 healthy scratches throughout the year to sit in the press box and learn something from sit in the press box with a Michael Stone and Conroy and learn some stuff and watch some video and that type of stuff. But my expectation is that throughout the year, he's going to start as a third pairing defenseman with a Hanley or Pahal. And Pahal, I heard, has been training on his offside, so he can be more
Hopeful.
versatile for the Flames. But
Good.
so I'm guessing, especially knowing how Huska does things, I'm guessing Zane Parek's probably going to start on the third pair. He's probably going to be getting like 10 to 12 minutes type of thing to start for the first few weeks.
Yeah.
But he's also going to start on power play too, and then he's going to slowly start working his way up. And I think probably by mid-November he's going to be on power play 1, and I think by maybe mid-January, he's going to be on the second pair, and he'll be at the beginning 10 to 12 to 14 minutes, and maybe 16 minutes by the end of the year. That's my
Right.
expectation, just because I know how Husker runs things a little bit, and I can't see him throwing Perek to the Wolves.
No, I can't see it either. And also one of the things that, and we've talked about this on this show as well. One of the sort of knocks on Perek is his defensive side of things, right? Obviously, we know offensively he's dynamic and can really move the needle. But what that's always been kind of one of the questions when it comes to Zane Perek is his defensive ability. And so you're right; they're probably going to put him with somebody that is, a good stay-at-home defender. Can cover for potential, plays. Like if Perek is trying to make something happen in the opposition zone and it goes awry, we're going to have somebody capable backing him up. I think he's got the speed and will surprise us and get back a lot quicker than some players. But there's going to be some gaffes. It's going to be, is what it is, right? This is
There's
what
going to be
happens when you have
some
somebody.
Brody type
Sure.
play out there, I think.
Yeah, yeah. There's going to be some times where he's out of position because he's trying to make something offensively happen. He's gonna. It's just going to be part of the learning curve
Growing
for him.
pains.
Yeah, it is what it is, and but I still expect good things from him. I think he's going to be a dynamic player to watch for many years. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think, watching this kid play.
Oh yeah, and in 3, 4, 5, 6 years, he's going to be a, you know, probably a Norris candidate, because the Norris is voted on based on points, and I can see this kid
Mhm.
being a 60, 70, 80 point guy in the future. I just
Yeah,
don't see it this
it
upcoming
won't be next
season,
year. No.
and I just want to warn people to limit their expectations, because you see young guys get absolutely run out of the building, like Connor Bedard did last year, for not producing on a mid-ass team, and like, because of the ridiculous expectations of a fan base. So just
Yeah.
let Perek cook. He'll cook for a couple years and he'll come out looking absolutely stellar.
Yeah.
Um
I think so too.
yeah. Let's move on. This one's a tough one to crack. We'll do a couple tough ones here. Martin Pospisil,
Mm.
who had 4 goals and 21 assists in 81 games. In 63 games the year before, he had 8 goals, which is twice as much,
Mhm.
and he had 1 less point in, what is that, 18 less games in, 23,
Yeah.
24 than he did last year. So he took a big step back,
Yeah.
goals-wise and points pace-wise. Like, he got 1 more point, but he also played 18 more games. Or that's not 18. Something like that.
That is 18.
It is
Um,
18? Yeah, there you go.
yeah. Yeah. One more minute on the ice. He also, surprisingly, took a ton less penalties last year than he did the year before. Right. Um, I
Oh, yeah,
think
he
a
did
lot
too.
of
Well, yeah, 20, what is that, 25 less minutes?
yeah, 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 yeah. I think one of the things when it comes to Martin is, I think with his 23-24 season, he spent the bulk of his time playing with Zari and Kadri, and
Mhm.
they were a great line during that season.
They flew.
Yes, they looked really well, like they had been playing for years together. They
Yeah.
really did some fun things. It didn't translate to last year at all, in my opinion. And so he ended up spending the bulk of his time kind of bouncing between
All of the
second,
lines.
third, and fourth line. Like he was all over the place, right? So
He
he
was
never
all,
really got
not
set
only
up
in
with
lines,
a.
but positions.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So he never got set up with a line. Like a couple of guys that he could gel with and play with and develop a you know a good sense of each other, right? When you're playing the wing one game, next game you're center, line two, line three, line four, and you're just all over the place. I don't. It's got to be hard for a kid on his second year, right? 'Cause I don't know what was being said to him, in between games, but it's a difficult position. Obviously, his production needs to increase, and I do suspect it will. Um, I think if he can keep himself consistent, then he'll find himself parked on a line, and then that'll increase production as well.
So I've looked at a lot of projected lineups. And the thing is there's no spot for him except like fourth center. They're like
Right.
we just have far too many forwards, right? Forwards who are better and have um either more of a successful track record or more upside. And
Right.
to me, like I like him. I like watching him play when he's on. He's fun to watch, right? He's physical and he's um a little rambunctious out there. But and the problem with that is he's got 45% on the face-off one year and a 41% the next year.
Mm.
And last year he was it's 40.8. And he was played at center quite a bit last year, and that I'm a little bit worried about. If
Mhm.
there's one thing your fourth line center has to be able to do, it's win faceoffs. Um, because they're often out there when every other line is tired, and what you really need is a face-off win and to grind it out for a minute and then let another line rest and then get on, right?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah, I
40
agree.
40 needs to go up a little bit.
I agree, but we're also in the same conversation. We just talked about how we expect Zari to be taking um, center minutes away from Kadri, and his faceoff percentage is worse in both seasons, right?
Is it?
So
I knew it was under 50. I didn't know it was worse, but
yeah, yeah. Connor was 44 and then 37 last year.
ooh, okay. Um yeah, I mean,
So I
yeah,
mean, they
like
both have to get better at it, right?
yeah.
Obviously.
And again, like
Um,
with
and
Zeri, I can't see him being a center this year, but I can see him
mhm,
taking some shifts at center. I'd like to
right.
see him being developed at center. Not that we're talking about Zeri right now, but um yeah, I'd like to see him
When
developed as a center, but there's no spot, so he's gonna be a winger. That's just that, unfortunately.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I think when it comes to Martin, I personally would rather him be a winger,
me too.
but have but he can take face-offs when somebody gets waved out. Like I'd much rather that scenario personally, because then at least you have, a almost 50% chance that he's going to win that face-off at that point, and
Yeah,
I think that would be better for him at least.
I do
If you
too.
eventually want to
The
work him
only
into the
thing,
center position, then that's great. But I think in order to get there, I think just ease him into it. Like let
yeah,
him like I don't think he needs to actually be playing in that position. I think he could mix it up in the corners quite well without starting off at the center. You know,
I
put him
agree
put him
with
with
you. The only
put him with
thing is
Backlund or something.
there's no there's no spot if you look, like, unless you're putting Farabee on the fourth line, there's no real spot for Pospisil, like, because his line mates are going to be, even if Farabee's on the fourth line, then Klapka probably gets moved up, right?
Right.
Um, and the thing is you've got Lomberg and Klapka or Farabee basically on the fourth line, and none of those
Mhm.
guys play center or ever have played center.
Right. Right.
So I feel like it's going to be Pospisil maybe in and out, and maybe Morton and whoever else, like Kirkland type of thing, kind of in and out throughout the season. But I still think Pospisil's probably going to score a few more goals, probably be more at the
Mhm.
eight goal, 25 assist range, take a little bit of a step forward, but maybe even play a few less games.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Farabee's one of those guys that, I mean, he's easy to forget about, personally, in my opinion. Like, I mean, sure, he was decent when he was in Philly, but I mean, I saw not much of him other than he's willing to take a beating. Other than that, I didn't see any reason for him to be getting the ice time he did, personally. But,
Yeah, me neither. And so when we started talking about Pospisil, I said let's do a couple that are tough to crack, and
mm,
Farabee was going to be the other one because he's showing it, right? He's showing he's got a 20 goal season, a 15 goal season, and a 17 goal season, and a 22 goal season, right? So he's hovered around the 15 to 22 for 1, 2, 3, 4 straight seasons.
right.
Um, and then he had a 28 goal season after that, right? And then last year he had 11 in Philly and 3 in Calgary, and he played 8. He played basically a full season. He missed one game, and he got 14 goals, which is half as many as he got the season before.
That's his assists. He had 11 goals, 14 assists.
Oh, you are correct. Yeah, that is. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was looking at the wrong category all around there. Yeah. So my bad. So yeah,
That's so good.
20 to 20, the 15 to 22 goals for 4 years there, and then 11 goals last year. And I'm like, I just, I don't see a place for him
No,
in the lineup.
no, I agree. I mean, obviously, with the lack of production came less ice time. Last year he's only averaging about 14.26, where when he's scoring 22, he's playing 16.11 or 17.01 or 17.35. So he's playing a lot more minutes when he was productive. But of course, you got to be productive to earn some minutes. At least that's what that's my feeling, right? You don't just reward a guy for nothing. Um,
Yep.
he's
No, I
he's
agree.
one of those guys that I could see sitting a bunch of games this year. And I mean, this all comes down to the fact that I think Craig Conroy really fucked up this offseason. He had the opportunity to get rid of some guys, and he just simply didn't, right? I mean, and by the opportunity, I mean, obviously that's my wish, is that he would have gotten rid of some guys. And so that we're not having this conversation of, this guy, may or may not even, may or may not even play 60 games, and shit like that. And that has nothing to help the future of this franchise. We're still averaging, up and around 27 and a half for age on this team, and that's with a bunch of 19-year-olds. Like that's not going to get it done. Like Craig really, I honestly give him D minus at best for this offseason. Aside from draft, I'll give him draft, but as far as
The draft was good. His drafting
yeah,
is always good. I think he holds the veterans a little bit too tight to the chest, and he
yeah, and I didn't think he was going to be that, right? Because he talked about that.
well, he
He
talked
talked
about
about
wanting
that.
to get younger, and to his credit, he's gotten the team younger, but I don't think that the amount of younger that he's gotten the team is in the spirit of what he was talking about when he
Yeah,
first got
not at all.
hired.
And by he got the team younger, we literally dropped by point 0.8 of a year. Like, sure, it's younger, but
Yeah.
it's not where we need to be. And so, unfortunately, we've got a bunch of guys that are not going to get any playing time because of how he, in my opinion, fucked up the offseason, right? This is
Yeah,
this is the year that he should have been pulling the trigger on on the Kadris, on the Coleman, and get his young blood playing time on the ice.
Yep. No,
But
I totally agree.
I,
And we're
and that's
talking
that's
about
why I'm just an armchair GM, right, and not an actual. But
yeah. And obviously like you don't want him to just pull the trigger on nothing deals, right? But
for sure,
I feel like he probably got some offers on Kadri that Kadri would have even accepted.
hmm
That I would have pulled the trigger on. But again, I don't know. Like you said, we're
I
just
mean,
armchair GMs. But back to
yeah,
Farabee. Um,
yeah,
I just want to say, like, I didn't see, like you said you didn't see pretty much anything with him. The only thing I can say is that Farabee looks like Coleman out there. Just less
mm,
of like his play style is very Coleman-y, but he's just not very effective at it. Like he tries to dig on the walls. He's trying to be physical on the walls. He's trying to be sound defensively, but he's just kind of off by half a step all the time. But he's, you know what I mean? You can see the grittiness and the determination, but he's just not quite there.
hmm
Um, I do think he can get back. I can't see Conroy. You said you think he's probably gonna um sit a lot. I think he might sit a few, but I don't think he's gonna sit a lot. I don't think Conroy brought this guy in um just to sit him. He's making a lot of money too. So I think that if anything, he'll want to show this guy off, try and get him pumped up a little bit in value and try and
right,
dump him. If but at his salary, he's gonna have to be scoring at a 18 goal pace and a you know 40 to 50 point pace, in my opinion,
yeah,
in
yeah,
order to get any value. And the thing is like you can where are you going to put him, right? Like there's there's too many mid forwards on the team.
yeah,
and
yeah, exactly.
um
Yeah,
and we've been
it's not
saying
a
this
good
for a
sign when
while.
you're saying that there's too many mid forwards on the team, which leaves him almost as one of the odd men's out. Him and Martin, but I honestly have way more need and respect for Martin and the way he plays the game. I would much rather have Pospisil on the ice over Farabee at this point, in my based on what we saw in the 31 games from Joel.
Yeah.
For me, it was not a good campaign whatsoever.
For for okay, for some reason I thought you were talking about Joel Hanley. I'm like, he had
Oh
a
yeah,
great
no,
season.
oh Farabee,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no,
For sure. Okay, we're just gonna talk about a couple more guys here because the episode's getting a little long. I wanted to talk about Adam Klapka. Now he just got a deal,
mhm,
and I know that he's gonna be getting some time, right? He's gonna be getting some playing time. Probably a lot of it on the fourth line, but I feel like when there's an injury, he's going to be the first guy to be promoted because he played so well for quite a stretch with Kadri there.
mhm.
To the point where I can't remember who it was that got hurt. Somebody got hurt, but it was only for one game. But Klapka played so well that game with Kadri that he stayed on that line for a while. Um,
Yeah,
but he got 10 points in 31 games, including 6 goals, which I think for a guy who was plastered to the fourth line for most of that time and then kind of played a little bit with Kadri near the end there,
mhm.
um, isn't bad at all. Basically, a rookie coming in late season for 31 games.
Well, exactly the same amount of games that Farabee played, but he's playing. 9 minutes and 39 on average
Yeah.
per game, right? Like, so very minimal as far as the ice goes, and 33% on the points, right? Like per game. That's I mean, if you can get that from all your fourth liners, friggin' A, right? Like he proved himself to be versatile, and like his give a shit meter is high, and I love that about him. Right? You get maximum effort. He mixes it up. He he'll hit anybody. He thinks he's a fighter, which is not great, but but
He's
he's
big.
a big
Give him
dude.
that.
Right? Yeah, he's a big dude. So I mean, whatever. And he's always happy. Like he's a lot of fun to watch. I really like watching him play. And like I remember when there's one game there I was at near the end of the season, and he had scored a goal, and just the look on his face, it was just pure joy. Like I just happened to be in the first couple of rows there, and like he was just so over the top with with getting the goal. Like I really like watching him. Um, that being said, I think he's going to improve on that in this season coming up. I think he's going to be rewarded with more ice time. I think he will likely still spend most of his time on the fourth, but I think he's going to be north of 10 minutes this year, and I think he's going to play at least 60 games this year. His contract is very minimal at 1.25 per season over the next two.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, he's not costing you um, a ton to be out there, but I think he's just a very effective player, and I think if when it comes push comes to shove, when if it's Lomberg versus him, who's watching games, I think unfortunately it's going to be Lomberg that's going to be watching games more so than Adam Klapka this year.
I do too. And nothing against Lomberg because we all love the
No,
way
not at
Lomberg
all.
plays, but
Yeah,
Lomberg is a guy who should be playing like 40 to 50 games a season. That's just
yeah,
what he should be doing. Like
yeah,
if this was a if we were a super competitive team, he'd be playing 30 to 35 games.
yeah.
In my opinion, when you need a spark. Yeah, so as far as Klapka's concerned, I could see him being 30 to 35 points.
Mhm.
And like you said, 60 I'd put him closer to 70 games. Like he's gonna play most of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just in the spirit of going quicker, let's go with Coronado. 24 goals, 23 assists, 47 points. I think his ice time went up all season, and it's going to continue to some extent. Um, man, I think he's going to hit 30 this year. I really do. 30 goals, and I think he's probably going to be a 50 to 55 point player. And
Yeah.
that's just awesome progression from a guy who has shown not only to have the scoring touch but also have the defensive acumen. Like his defensive anticipation has been absolutely awesome, especially in the last half of the year.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. No, it was. I tell you what, when he came back after being sent down for a whopping 5 games there, he just he forced Huska's hand in making or allowing him to play every game. He
Yep.
just he just got better and better as the season went along. You know, averaging 17.35 for the year, but I suspect those numbers were probably closer to probably 21, roughly to 22, maybe somewhere between 20 and 22.
I'd say
For the
probably about 20.
last couple of weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I do agree. I think he hits 30 goals this year. I think he still has another step he's gonna take. Um, yeah, he's not playing for the Wranglers anymore. I tell you that.
Oh, that's not even the question. No, no, no.
Yeah, like
He's far
he's
too good for
he's
that.
he's far too good for that. And he proved that, right? He went down for the few games, he comes back and he just fucking lit it up. And that was great to see. That's what you want from any player that gets sent down, whatever the reason is, right? Conditioning stint because they haven't been playing as many games, having a hard time, whatever. You go down there, you put in the work, you come up and you fucking dominate. And that was phenomenal. That's exactly
Absolutely.
what you want your rookies to do every time.
I agree.
Hmm.
Um, just because the episode's getting longer, let's go with Huberto. 28 goals, which was a refreshing thing for us to see from Huberto last year, and
Right.
34 assists for 62 points. And I'll be dead honest, man. My expectations, um, I have given up on the point per game, but my
Mhm.
expectations are pretty much exactly what he got. I'm gonna say he's gonna get 3 more points than he got last year.
If if we can keep him within mid 60s for point production, I would say we're doing fairly well.
Yeah, yeah, no, no,
Honestly,
I
I do agree. Obviously, yeah, he's not going to get up to that point per game anymore, which is fine. It's not fine, but it's
it
fine
sucks.
all in the same. Yeah, right. Like obviously, given his salary, we'd like to see more production, but you just can't be there in the expectations, or you'll just pull your hair out and you'll just be a bitter fan for no reason.
And the other
Um,
thing is he's stepped up in other aspects of the game. He's one of the first guys out on the PK and has been doing pretty damn good at it. He's
mhm,
way more willing to battle on the boards and stuff like that than he was in Florida, and he's actually like he's turned himself into somewhat of a power forward as well, like
right.
parking in front of the net and taking the goalie's eyes away, which you don't always get points for. So I'm not overly I'm not overly worried about if he's making 10 mil, getting 62, 65 points, whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not preferable, but is what it is,
Yeah.
and that's my expectation for him.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree. I mean, there's not much you can say about him aside from he's gotten better every year he's played for the Flames, right? Obviously, his first season in, it was a real struggle under under Sutter. Didn't it just didn't work. But then he got better the next year and better again. Um, Obviously, like his point production from the first year to his second year was pretty much dead even, but just his play alone looked better. But then last year he took some great strides on the defensive side of the puck, and I think he's going to continue going down that path. To be honest, I think he's going to, he's going to be a 200-foot player now, which is kind of what you want out of your veterans, anyways.
Yeah,
If you can teach the young guys coming in that's how you play hockey now, and I think he's just going to add value being a vet on the team, and the contract obviously is not movable, so is what it is. So all you can do is hope that he can keep around the 65 point production. If he can climb to 70, friggin' A.
yeah. Two more guys. Yegor Sharangovich,
Mhm.
17 goals, 15 assists after getting 31 goals and 28 assists the season before.
Yeah.
Um, Personally, I know he was injured and again getting thrown around the lineup. Like Jeff Ward was coaching last year at some points, except with some defensive structure and a good goalie. Uh, but
Jeff Ward. Yeah. Ugh.
yeah, yeah. Um, and that's like I like Huska a fuck of a lot more than I liked Ward. But
Right.
so
Yeah.
I'm gonna like I think he's gonna kind of split the difference, right? Like to me, I'm not thinking he's a 30 goal guy for his career or anything like that, but I also don't think he's a 17 goal guy. I think he's probably more of like a 22 to 25 goal guy and probably a
Mhm.
20 to 25 assist guy. Probably between 45 and 50 points would be my
Yeah,
expectation for him.
yeah, I kind of agree with that. I kind of have him pegged as kind of being a rough career 24 or 25 goal guy. Um, I find it interesting though, even with 17 goals isn't like it obviously isn't what it was the season before that, but given the play on ice and just his demeanor and watching games, it's almost even surprising that he got 17 goals.
I know
Um,
you look at that because he had a down year and he seemed um seemed like he was sick a lot of the time. Like he just couldn't get
mhm.
it going. He didn't. I don't know what
And
it was.
I feel like he also suffers from I won't say depression, but like you can tell he gets down on himself very quickly when things aren't going the way that he
TJ Brody.
envisions them to go. Right.
Yeah,
Maybe even more. I don't know.
maybe.
It's hard to say.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to say. TJ was pretty bad for that too. Um, but I think, and that you kind of get into that negative cycle, and then the more you're trying to force it, the less it works, and it's just what he needs to do is just get back on the hey, I can score fucking goals and just go with it, right?
he needs to bring Lego to the rink and just like play with it
100%.
and the
If that's
intermissions.
if that's what it takes, I will ship him Lego every 4 days to the arena. That's fine.
Yeah, me too. Okay, we don't need to talk too much about that. One more guy, Dustin Wolf, and I'm probably gonna get shit on for this. Dustin Wolf had a fucking awesome year as a rookie goalie. You know, he played 53 games, 29 wins, 16 losses, um, and 910 save percentage. Awesome. Awesome. 910 is so far above league average right now. It's ridiculous. I think league average is like 900 or 901. So, Wolf had a wicked, wicked, wicked fucking year. I don't think the team is going to be, I think they're going to be more offensive and less defensive next year. I think that having Perek out there and just having guys like Coleman and Backlund aging a little bit more, I think is going to affect Wolf's numbers a little bit. I think he'll probably
Mhm.
start around 50 to 55 games again, maybe even more because he doesn't really have a backup worth talking about.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to regress a little bit. And I take that back. Regress is the wrong word. I think Wolf is going to have a similar season in the way we look at him, in the saves
Mhm.
he makes, in the quality of his play, but the team in front of him is going to let more high danger shit through and it's going to affect him.
Yeah, I can see that. I think he's gonna. I think he'll start 60 games. Um, we're adding two more games to the schedule, so I think that'll
That's
play
not
a
this
little
year.
bit. Oh, for next year. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Um, but still, I still think 60 is where he's at because he played with 53 this last year, but we also had a backup, like you said, um, that could pick up those other games, and I don't think we have that anymore. So I think they're going to lean on him more.
Not that Vladar was particularly good, but
Nope. Um, I can see him taking the regression, right? I can see that happening. The sophomore slump is a thing, right? Um, I bet you he's going to be closer to maybe the 905 in the save percentage, Like I'm not thinking he's going to be in the 800s.
No, no, no.
But I think he has potential given the team in front of him to take a bit of a step back, even though defensively the team last year was dog shit, and he saved us in a lot of games and got and picked up some wins that we had no business winning.
That
And I
is
still
true.
think I think he's going to do that a few times again this year, but I think through the full season, it's going to wear on him a little bit. And yeah, I can see his numbers just not being quite as good. I don't think he's going to be, I don't think there's going to be a situation where we're like, oh shit. I think, I do think that he's still going to be impressive and he's going to have some great highlight reel goals and he's still going to be a fan favorite and moving forward, he's going to be fucking great for the team. But yeah, I can see him taking a bit of a step back next year. So I mean, like he played like unreal for a nice little stretch there, and
Like unreal, crazy
yeah,
good.
like and that's difficult to continue that type of pace, right?
Yeah, I agree. Um, and 905 is right around where I was going to say as well. And I think he's going to play a few more games, probably a couple more games. I think you think he's going to play a few more than I do, but no, I'm pretty much where you are when it comes to a slight regression. I don't think he's going to like flush the toilet and go way downhill, but I think that it's
Mhm.
going to be enough to cost us a few points in the standings, probably not very much, but a few. And I
Yeah,
also think that it's worth talking about. Like some of these guys, we're not going to talk about. Braden Pahal, his first half was unreal. His second half was not so good. Joel Hanley, his second half was unreal. Neither of those guys, I don't think, are going to play as well as they played last year. Justin Kirkland, he got us like 4 standings points just through shootouts.
yeah,
Rory Cairns, he's probably going to step up and play some minutes. Um, and same with Morton and some other guys. But there's going to be some growing pains with those young guys, and
yeah,
um, I think overall the Flames got 96 points last year, and I think that with a slight regression from Wolf, some more scoring from some of the guys who had down years, and some less scoring from maybe Kadri and Uyghur. Um, I think that I'm going to say we're fighting until the end for a wild card spot again, and we're probably going to end up like 3 or 4 points, 5 points, maybe less than we had, but we're going to be right in that,
yeah.
18th place range where we're just missing out on the playoffs and we're getting an absolute ass draft pick.
That's Calgary Flames hockey, baby.
Yes, that's what we like to see.
Right?
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I can see that being the case too. Being
Also, it's worth
right where we
saying
don't want to
too.
be in March, right? Like
Yeah,
fuck, we have a chance to make the playoffs. God damn it.
yeah. It's worth saying too. I think the Canucks and Ducks are both going to be quite a bit better than they were last year. Maybe not a lot better, but quite a bit, and that's going to cost us some standing points. The Canucks got rid of the guy that they think was the problem, not the guy that was the problem. But I don't think
He wasn't
Pedersen's
the
going to be
problem.
as bad as he was. The Ducks have added some good veteran leadership, and they have uh no they have a new coach. Their coach was fucking awful. That he was
Mhm.
the Greg Cronin was the worst coach in the league last year, in my opinion. um and I feel like the Ducks are going to move up by 10 points even next year, and
Mhm.
it's going to be the Ducks, the Canucks, and the Flames, probably the Blues as well, all kind of vying for that last spot, and we're all going to be right around the 90 to 93 point range when the season ends.
Yep. Yep. I can see that. That wouldn't surprise me in the least. You know, we'll be sitting here mid-March, not necessarily biting our nails, but probably just going, oh fuck. Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Yay, another 17 pick, 16 pick, 17, 18 pick.
Yeah.
Great. Speaking of mid forwards, let's draft some more for another decade.
Yeah, I think we've gotten lucky with I think Reshny's going to be a little bit better than maybe his draft stock, his draft selection would indicate,
Yeah.
but also that means another second line forward. We don't have any first line forwards coming up. That's the issue with the Flames. We have one first pairing defenseman on the up and up, maybe two.
Potentially, yeah, maybe two, right?
And we have no first line forwards, in my opinion. Coronado could maybe be that, but even if he hits 30 goals and 55 points, you want your first line forwards to be like what, 80 to 100 points?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel very comfortable putting Coronado in the top 6 conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know that, I don't think I would ever. Well, I mean, he may surprise us, but I don't see it being 100%. Yeah. I mean, if he does, yeah, I'm all for it. But you're right. We have 0 top line prospects in the system.
Yeah.
Which is not a great place to be.
Yeah.
But
speaking
of
this was fun. Speaking of possibly having another really good defensive prospect other than Perek, I just want to say I would love to see Hunter Brzustevich in the lineup this year. I don't think it's going to happen because we have so many defensemen. And I just think that Hunter Brzustevich is going to be pasted on that first power play. He's going to be pasted on that first pair in the AHL. And I think he's going to be so good in the AHL that he's going to be probably in the running for the AHL Defenseman of the Year and possibly an outside shot of whatever the equivalency is of the Hart in the AHL. I think he's going to be that good, and he's going to be a really good top 4 defenseman for us one day, but there's just no room for him to actually develop on the Flames right now. So he will be in the AHL this year. That's my prediction.
Well, yeah. There's way too many contracts in the defensive position for the Flames right now. We have 8. Yeah, that's just not going to cut it. Because we were hoping that we're turning a page on being, getting younger and letting the kids come into play, but then we give Joel Hanley a 2-year contract at, 175. It's like, God sake.
And I like Hanley. And when
no.
that first came along, I was happy about it. But also, like, why? Like,
it was not necessary.
Yeah, it was
not necessary. But I guess on that note, right? I think I just want to let everybody know we've kind of moved in a different direction from the Hockey Podcast Network. Obviously, we want to thank them for the opportunity. It was a lot of fun over 3 years with them. Good group of guys. That being said, moving forward, we are going to have a new Spotify channel, probably a new Apple channel. I might get us up onto Prime as well. But we're going to be starting out fresh. So if any of you were following us on our Spotify, there won't be any new episodes from us going up there. You probably have noticed there hasn't been any for about a month. But moving forward, make sure you follow us on our socials on Facebook, Follow Dylan on Reddit, give him some shit there. I am. We do have the X handle as well, the Armchair GM_pod. I will be throwing updates on there, as well as our link tree is in our bio there as well. That will be updated with the new locations for where you can get our audio formats. That being said, also, we're going to be trying to focus maybe a little more on our YouTube this year, doing more lives if we can. Maybe some game watch parties, that sort of thing. I know we kind of teased one last year. It was a lot of fun. We like having live conversations with all the people that like to tune in, because we do love to interact with all of you and talk your comments through, and if you give us shit or have something cool to say, we like to put it up on the screen and have a lot of fun with that. So we hope that you're excited for the new season like we are. And I hope that you keep following us in our new locations. That being said, thanks, Dylan. It's been a lot of fun. Let's do it again in, say, a week or so.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Go Flames.
Let's go.